Good morning and welcome to another Engine Talk episode, and this would be episode 32. And on the table today, you will see that I have something very different to talk about. And these are both helicopter engines. So I kind of had them propped up here like this so I could get a little bit better angle of them. So let me move those little items out of the way. And these are two customer engines that were just received yesterday, actually. And a returning customer, Chris, awesome guy, wants me to actually just replace some bearings in these engines. It doesn't look like they're going to need to be cleaned up at all. He got these, I don't know exactly, I can't say exactly when he got them, but they're both incredibly beautiful engines. Now, as you can see, this is an OS 32. Okay, so I'm going to try to remember the exact designation of this engine. From my OS Engines timeline, this engine came out in 1987, and this is an OS, or it's called a Max 32F-HX. Max 32F-HX. So it's a helicopter engine, obviously, and both of these came in Hirobo shuttle helicopters that Chris got. And this one is a beautiful example of an OS engineering. However, this one is locked up. So this one needs some TLC for sure. The throttle is pretty stiff. It opens, but it's pretty stiff. But I mean, this engine's locked up totally. The other engine I've got here, and like I said, both of these came from about the same time period as far as review articles and the OS Engines timeline for this. Review articles for this is an Enya SS35BB engine. And also from 1987, it seems like the late 80s was the time that at least OS and Engine were creating a lot of helicopter engines. And it's always interesting to me to find that at least back then, I know that Enya also made a 50 size helicopter engine, and OS did too, I believe. I believe they made the 50 FSR, was originally designed as a helicopter engine, and then later, as the 32 was, later just adapted to make it an airplane engine. But it's odd that to me that 30 to 35 size engines, most of the times, with the exception of some like older engines, Canby and Fox, you see 30, 35 size engine, you automatically equate it to a helicopter engine. Now, this Enya is a very interesting one. It's an Enya SS35BB, as I said, and it's a TN, which means twin needle valve. So Enya engines historically come with a lot of air bleed carbs. This one does not. So I am of the belief that if this is a TN, a twin needle valve engine, that low speed adjustment has got to be really recessed in here. I can't really see the head of the screw the way it is, but yes, now I can. So yeah, this is a twin needle carb, which is, like I said, pretty unusual for Enya because, boy, I'm trying to remember. I don't even know how many twin needle carbs I've ever even had that are Enya. I know I had a 60 X60 or a 60 Mark III or something like that, and it had the low speed mixture adjustment was like a little slider thing on this side of the car, but I don't recall many, if any, twin needle carbs on Enya engines at all. But this one is beautiful. I mean, this one is brand new, and Chris wants the bearings replaced in it. So this is a brand new engine. I'm just going to be doing bearing replacements on that. Chris is also interested in, which I'm trying my best to assist him with, this recoil starter adds like 5 ounces to the overall weight of this engine, and he really would like to have this come back to him without the recoil starter on there. And the issues with that are that because of the recoil starter, that means there is a little extra pin on the crankshaft that engages in the thing that turns, engages with the recoil starter. So to remove all of that, I believe that you'd have to get a new rear cover and then a different crankshaft, an aircraft crankshaft. And that's kind of the other thing I've got here is I have my OS 32F SR airplane version here, and this is a really beautiful engine, and it kind of still has that little car or helicopter carb looking thing going on here, because you don't see too many aircraft carburetors that have this long of an extension here. So this is probably still the descendant, because the aircraft versions were made after the helicopter version, and that's readily obvious by seeing how they've cast the head. And how often have you ever seen a round head be protruded by the cooling fins? Well, you don't normally, because that's why, you know, you have the extra cooling fins and larger fin style on a helicopter engine. So this is clearly just OS's saying, hey, let's just make this an aircraft engine also. And it's, you know, works out really well that way. It's a beautiful running engine. In fact, these are, you know, pretty sought after. But that was my version of this, the closest thing I could come to with this. And this one actually, according to my OS Engines timeline, came out in 1988. So 87, 88, right away they're like, let's just plop a different head on here and call it good. So the only other equivalent, semi-equivalent engine I could come close to with this Enya 35, SS35, is this Enya SS25. Now, this was a gift from an awesome man, and off the top of my head, I do not recall which awesome man, friend of mine, actually gave this to me, but, and I forgive me for not remembering. But, so this is a brand new in-box engine also. This is the SS25, but it's not the BB. This is just the plain bearing version. Now, they did make a BB version, and I think it's interesting that on this helicopter engine, it actually says BB right here at the base of the carb mount. I don't recall ever seeing that on any other of the Enya engines that were BBs. I just don't recall that. But again, this is just another, I just kind of want to pull these guys out because they're so beautiful. And anyway, so that is, these are my my sort of semi-equivalents to these beautiful engines. Now, this is going to be fun. I enjoy this, and I enjoy what I do because I get to hold and touch a lot of engines that I wouldn't normally get to hold and touch. So again, this was episode 33. I'm in the apartment today. It's a bright, beautiful, sunny day outside. Unfortunately, it's a Saturday, and with Saturdays come a lot of other responsibilities, and I don't believe that I will be out running an engine today, because that's the other thing with Florida, Wisconsin, it seems like, is like our weather forecast. We're going to be beautiful today, and then we've got rain coming in, and we've got rain forecast from tonight through tomorrow through Monday and Tuesday. 70, big chances of rain, and that sucks because it's also like today's high is going to be like 50, and tomorrow's high is going to be 72. And it's like, oh boy, I'd really like to get out there and run some engines, but if I have to try and jump around between rain showers, that's just really not super cool. So anyway, the weather is turning around good here, but I think they say April showers bring May flowers in it. We're in the April shower thing here. But anyway, so I'm going to be disassembling these engines and doing some bearing replacements on them. Now, Chris put prop hubs on here. Because he did this specifically because he was hoping that I would run these engines. However, I don't believe I'm going to do that. I don't know that I will run these engines at all, because to put on a helicopter engine and make it run as an aircraft, I guess I could go just by the guidelines of a 35 size engine, but I don't know that I'm actually going to do runs with these engines. I think these engines are they're nice and they're beautiful, and if I am unable to get the parts to replace this, well, then I'm certainly not going to go out there and start pull starting an engine. I think it's interesting though that looking at this is that this Enya engine has a OS glow plug on it, and this one has what looks to be a Fox plug. Let me take this plug out of here, because I just did my first, oh gosh, this is a Fox plug with a idle bar on it. Okay, so I don't know, I don't know why you would do that. I know this isn't a Chris thing. Chris got these like this. So, Chris, I'm recommending change that plug, because I don't believe you want to use an idle bar plug in here. Maybe you do in a helicopter. I don't know. But this one particularly looks like an OS number 8 plug. Let's... Oh, jeez. Holy crap. That's tight. There's no reason for that to be that tight. Oh, jeez. Okay, so here's a PSA. Don't over torque your glow plugs. That's not a good thing. They don't need to be that tight. OS number 8. So that's probably an appropriate size, appropriate plug for this engine. Although, since it's an Enya engine, I would personally put an Enya number 3 glow plug in it, because that's what it shows in the ads. And anyway, so that's our engine talk episode 33 video for today.